welcome to episode 8 of MESBG Battle Companies, the Darkness of Moria solo campaign, Pomeranian Godzilla Attack! The scenario I will be playing today is called a Show of Strength. This is the battlefield we will be playing on, and the first battle will be Karna against the Last Alliance. In this scenario, each of the leaders are trying to kill as many of the enemy as possible. The battle company that has, or the leader of the battle company that has killed the most models at the end of the game will be the winner. The second battle will be between Osgiliath and Cirith Ungol. The battle will last until one battle company is reduced to 25% of their starting numbers. Let's get into it, folks! By the way, a quick announcement. The score is 12 to 12, 12 to 12. So every battle company has 12 points campaign-wise. So it's a tie and we have only 5 battles remaining. If you want to support what I'm doing here and contribute to the channel, please follow the link in the description to buymeacoffee.com. If you do that, I will greatly appreciate it. The money that I get from that site will be directly put into the hobby. So without further ado, let's get into priority for the first turn between the Last Alliance and Karna. Priority for Karna is a 3 and the Last Alliance gets a 6. Alright, that is movement done for both sides, and it looks like it's going to be a clash in the middle of the table. The archers of Karna stood still as they are within range of the Last Alliance, and the archers from the Last Alliance have not the range to get into the main force of Karna, but they can take out their archers. So let's go into the shooting phase for the Last Alliance. Starting with Simonir, he will fire into the archers of the enemy, and he needs a 4-up to hit because he moved and he hits. He has a strength of 3 against defense 4, so he will need 5s to wound. And he gets a 4, but he has a 3 points of might every turn, turning that into a 5, slaying an archer. Next, the Numenorean man will fire into Jacob Beam over there, and he needs a 5-up to hit because he moved and he misses. Jacobeam and his friend will return fire, and they will fire into the High Elf with Spear and Shield in front, because he has a defense of 6 and they would need 6s to wound, but they will also need 6s on all of the other guys, so they are going for him, needing 4-up to hit because they stood still, and gains 1 hit, and needs a 6 to wound and gets a 6. And that means that the elf is slain right away. Let's see who got the kill. Jacobeam on a 4-up. And it is Jacobeam. Priority for the next turn goes to the Last Alliance once again. I totally forgot to shoot with Jacksonell, and he will fire into the elf with a 2.5 hand and a half weapon, and he needs a 4-up to hit, and he hits, needing a 6s to wound, gets a 1. He has poisoned arrow, so he can roll again and gets another 1. Alright, movement is done, and both armies moved forward to be able to engage next turn. It will be an important priority roll. It seems the archers of Karna stood back to be able to shoot at full capacity, and the other ones stood still as well. Now let's get into shooting once again for the Last Alliance. Starting with the Numenorean man, he will need 4-up to hit because he stood still and he misses. Simonir is next, and he will fire into Jacobeam, trying to kill the enemy hero, and he gets a 2, and that is not a hit, but he will use his 3 points of might, turning that into a 3. Now he will need 5s to kill Jacobeam, but he gets a 1. Jacobeam is next, and he will fire into the elf with a hand and a half sword, and he needs a 4-up to hit, and he hits, needing a 6 to cause a wound and nothing, but he has poisoned arrows and can roll again, and he gets the 6, and this is a regular warrior, so he's just slain. The next archer will fire into the man in front with shield, and he needs a 4-up to hit, and he hits. Now he needs 6s to wound and gets a 1 and can reroll once again. Will the poison arrows be the bane of the Numenorean? No. Jacksonell is next, and he has a clear line of sight to the Numenorean with Spear and Shield in the back. but he has to roll an in the way roll for his friend. And he gets a 2, and that is not a hit. Close combat will be the deciding factor in this battle because of the goal, and that is only that the enemy or the leaders of the companies can score victory points. Now, who gets priority is really important here, and it's also really exciting because Karna has the amounts of attacks, but the last lions have the defense value. So let's get into priority for the next turn, and it goes to Karna. Alright, so there are some interesting maneuvering in the fights over here. Stuartlim moved into combat with an elf, trying to take him out, but in return the Numenorian man on the left hand side moved over to support him, to give him a better chance. Now here there can be a lot of shielding and shenanigans, so we will just have to see how it turns out. Jacksonell moved forward full to be able to support their comrades in the fight phase in later turns, and the archers stood still for both sides. So let's go into shooting for Karna. Jacobim will start, and he will fire at Simonir over there, needing a 4 up to hit, and he hits. Now he would need 6s to kill, and he gets a 4. The other archer will also fire at Simonir, needing a 4 up to hit, and he misses. As Jacksonell is in the open, Simonir will take his shots and try to kill him on his way forward to support his friends. Now he will need 3 up to hit, and he gets a 1. Now this is kind of interesting because Simonir has a 3 points of might, and he has also 1 point of might in addition to this. So he could use both to get a hit, and because of his strength on the bow, it's 3 against Jacksonell's defense of 3. It's a high probability that he may cause a wound. So he will use both of his points, getting a 3 and scoring a hit. Now we will try to see if he is able to wound, needing a 4 here, and he gets a 1! The Numenorian man will fire at Jacksonell as well, needing a 4 up to hit, and he misses. Going into the fight phase, we will start with this combat over here. 2 Karna warriors against a Numenorian man, and the Numenorian will be shielding. The Karna warriors will start, and they get a 4, and the Numenorian man will be shielding, as I said, and he gets a 4 as well. And that means that the Numenorian wins the fight because of his fight value, and the enemy is pushed back. The next fight is Jeremiah versus Carsonil, both having spear supports. Starting with the evil side, and Jeremiah will set the bar. He gets double 3s, and his friend gets a 4. That is not very good. Carsonil gets a 5, which means they win the fight. Okay, so this is really important. Carsonil has a strength of 5, and that would mean that he would wound on 3s, but Jeremiah has +1 toughness from a previous upgrade, which means that he has a defense of 4, and he will need 5s. And his friend also has a strength of 4, who will need 5s as well. So let's see if they can do something about this. Carsonil will go first. He gets a 4, and his friend gets a 5. I'm sorry, my math is completely bonkers. They would only need 4s to wound, of course, because of the strength of 4 and 5. So they score actually 2 wounds on Jeremiah. Now, Jeremiah has 2 wounds and will try to save. He will choose to save from Carsonil first, because if he does not save, Carsonil will not get the kill. So he will roll his fates against Carsonil, and he gets a 6, which means he saves, and then he takes 1 wound from the other man. Next we have a 2 versus 2, a regular Watcher of Karna versus other regular warriors, and the Watchers of Karna and his friend will set the bar. They get a 6 high, and the Numenorians get a 6 as well. Both has a fight of 4, so it's a roll-off. On a 1 to 3 goes to evil, and it goes to good. They will need 4s to kill the Watcher, and they get 1-5, which means the Watcher is slain. Can Stuartlim do something about this carnage from his side? And let's see. He will set the bar with his 3 attacks, getting a 6. The elf cannot do anything about that because his -1 penalty for swinging two-handedly, and the man will try to beat a 6, and he does not. Stuartlim will need 5s to kill the elf. Can he do it? He gets nothing! And he has only 1 point of might, so he cannot do anything about this. I went back on the videos and saw that Jeremiah did not use his Blade Master rule. So he will just do that now. If he gets a 5, the battle may have gone differently. And he gets a 3, so it's the same results. Priority for the next turn goes to the last alliance. Alright, so there were a lot of maneuvering in this turn. To start with, the warriors over here got down from the hill but moved only half to be able to shoot, and the Karna archers moved full to be able to support their friends in close combat, as they have taken some casualties. In the fight over here, Sturtlim got trapped inside towards the mountain cliff, and the other warriors tried to negate the number of attacks that Sturtlim would get against him to try to support him that way. Jacksonell went into combat, and Carzonil passed his courage check to get into combat with Jeremiah. So we have a lot of interesting fights over here. Now let's get into the shoot phase for the last alliance. The Numenorian man will start needing 5s to hit Jacob Beam, and he hits. Now he will need 5s, I believe. Yes, he will need 5s to kill, and he gets a 5. Can Jacob Beam save himself? No, he's slain. Next we have Simonir at the last archer, and he will need 4 up to hit because he moved and he hits. And now he will need 5s to kill, and he gets a 4 with his 3 points of might. That is turned into a 5, slaying the archer. Getting into the fight phase, as the last alliance got priority, they can choose the order of combats, and they will start with the fight with Sturtlim because he is trapped at the moment. They have Louison and a friend against him, and Louison gets a 5 and the friend gets a 2. Sturtlim, can you do something about this? You get a 4, and that means that the fight is a tie because Louison uses his 2-hander. Sturtlim cannot afford to be trapped here, so he will use a point of might, turning one of his 4 into a 5. Louison, on the other hand, has to use a might point as well, getting a 6, which is turned down to a 5. So it's a roll-off either way, but some might were spent. I'm sorry, no, it's not a roll-off, because Sturtlim has a fight of 4 and Louison has a fight of 5, so he will win, and Sturtlim is trapped, doubling the strikes of Louison and his friend. This is looking grim for Sturtlim, but Louison will try to strike him now. He needs 4s, but is turned to 3s because of his 2-handed weapon, and he gets a 3 and a 1, so 1 wound caused thus far. The man with a spear in the back will need 4s as well, and he gets double 1s. Incredible luck for Sturtlim, which can save this wound with a fate point, and he gets, no, that's not good enough, and he used his might, so he cannot save himself, but he has 2 wounds, so 1 wound remaining on him. Next we have a Warrior of Karna against a Man of Numenor, and the Warrior of Karna will set the bar, getting a 6, and the Man of Numenor gets a 2. The Warrior of Karna will need a 5 up to kill the man, and he gets a 2. Next we have a Warrior with Spear and Shield against a Karna Warrior with Shield, and the evil side sets the bar, getting a 3, the good side gets a 4. Needing 4s to kill, and gets the 6, the Warrior is slain. Next we have Jeremiah and Carzonil in a fierce battle with spear supports. Now Carzonil will set the bar, and he gets a 5 and his friend gets a 2. Next we have Jeremiah, and he gets a 6, which means that he wins the fight unless Carzonil uses might. Carzonil will use his might, turning his 5 into a 6, which means the fight is a tie and we have a roll-off. And it goes to Evil. Jeremiah will need 5s to get a wound in, and he does not get it. His friend, can he do something? No! Next we have Jacksonell and a friend against a Numenorian man, and the Numenorian will be shielding. He will set the bar, and he gets a 5, and Jacksonell gets a 6, which means they win the fight. Jacksonell will need 5s to slay the man, and he gets a 5, slaying him. Important kill. Now that is the fight phase done, and we move into priority for the next turn, and that goes to the last alliance. Alright, so that is movement done. The archers of the last alliance moved in closer as fast as they could. And once again, Stuart Lim got trapped, poor guy. But his friends came to the rescue, trying to get some of the models off him. Carsonil failed his courage test when he tried to charge into Jeremiah and is not in combat this turn, but his friend made it through and stopped 2 of the enemy warriors from advancing, trying to tank them. Now let's get into the fight phase. Because of Stuart Lim 3 attacks, Louison will strike normally to get a better chance of winning the fight, as he is trapped and that fight will go first. Louison will strike or roll and he gets a 3 and his friend gets a 2. Stuart Lim on the other side with his 3 attacks gets a 6, which means he wins. But Louison has the Blade Master rule, which means he can reroll 1 die and he gets a 3. That's not good enough. Now Stuart Lim can make strikes against Louison and he will need 5s to wound and he gets a 6. Louison has a point of fate and he will try to save himself and he does not. He is slain and that means the first kill goes to Stuart Lim and the Karna warband are in the lead. That is not true, of course, because Louison has 2 wounds, so he has 1 wound remaining. Next we have Jeremiah against the warrior of Numenor, and the warrior will be shielding in this situation because Jeremiah has 2 attacks. Jeremiah will set the bar and he gets a 5 and the warrior of Numenor gets a 3. Jeremiah will need 5s to kill and he gets double 2s. Next we have 2 warriors of Karna against the Numenorian man, and the man of Numenor will be shielding and the warriors of Karna gets double 6s and the Numenorian man gets a 6 as well, which means he wins on fight value. Next we have another 2-on-1 fight with Jacksonel in the driver's seat. The man of Numenor will be shielding once again and gets a 5. And Jacksonel gets a 4 and his friend gets a 5 as well. And that means that the fight is a tie. Because of the Numenorian man shielding, Jacksonel will take his chances on a 50-50. On a 1-3 it goes to evil, and it does. By that I meant, of course, that he could use might points to alter his roll. Now they will need 5s to kill the man of Numenor, and Jacksonel goes first, getting a 3, and his friend gets a 1. Priority for the next turn goes to Karna this time. Alright, so in the movement phase, the 2 archers of the last alliance moved forward at full speed once again, and we have an interesting development in this area over here. Stuart Lim charged into Louison once again, who is supported by a friend. Jeremiah went into a warrior of Numenor, and we have a trap on Carsonil. As the Karna warband has the advantage of priority, they can choose which fights to do first. Carsonil is up against it here and he will be shielding to try to get out of this mess. Let's see what he gets. He gets a 3. Oh, that's not good. That's not good at all. Jacksonel responds with a 6, which means that Carsonil loses the fight. Jacksonel will start doubling his attacks, needing a 5 to wound. And he gets 1-5. Can Carsonil save this? He gets a 1, and that means that he is killed with no kills to his name. The only chance that the last alliance has now is to negate Stuart Lim from killing an opponent, which means that if he does not kill anyone, the game will be a tie. But he still has yet to fight, so this is quite interesting. Taking the other fights first, we have a man against a Haradrim warrior, and the evil side gets a 6, the man gets a 5. 5s to kill the Numenorian and gets the 6, the Numenorian is slain. Now we have this fight over here and the Numenorian will set the bar, he gets a 4, the evil side gets a 3. Needing 4s to kill and gets a 2. Next we have Jeremiah and a friend against a Numenorian with spear and shield, and the Numenorian will be shielding because he's facing 3 attacks and he gets a 5. Jeremiah is next and he gets a 6. Jeremiah will need 5s to kill and he gets a 2. That is terrible. What about his friend? Can he do something? He gets the 6 and the man is slain. Lastly, we Have Stuart Lim against Louison and a friend, and Stuart Lim will set the bar this time. He gets a 6. Whoa, that is incredible. Louison will need a 6 as well because of his higher fight. He gets a 5. Whoa, and his friend gets a 2. Now Louison has 1 point of might left, so he will use that to win this fight. Can't afford to get Stuart Lim to get a kill, so he will do that. And that means that Louison and his friend wins the fight on fight value. Louison will strike first, needing force. And he gets a 4. And Stuart Lim has no fate and only 1 wound remaining, so Louison slays him, and that means that the game is a tie. Now, the rules say that one battle company has to be reduced to 25% of their starting numbers for the game to end. But both of the battle companies are below 50% of their starting numbers and so can choose to flee the battlefield. So to get on with the next game and not delay any further, we will just call it here and move over to the next battle. Alright, so we move into the second battle between Osgiliath and Cirith Ungol. But first, we have 2 new heroes. We have Hobtor, the spear and shield guy that got promoted last game, and he is named after Hobby Tourist on YouTube. I don't think that it is his real name, but you know, that's what it is. And the second one is this ranger who we called Dimantir, who is Dimanti88 on YouTube. Thank you so much for contributing and posting comments on my videos. Now, a different story is the Cirith Ungol warband. As they have 26 points less than their enemy, they will get 4 extra orcs to their warband this battle. Alright, so that is deployment done. We have the shield wall from Osgiliath in the middle with some veterans as well, and a new hero Hobtor over here. And we have Malarseand and Dimantir with their 2 other rangers over here. They have the supremacy of firepower, so they will use that to their advantage, trying to lure the orcs closer, getting to pick off some targets on their way forward. On the other side, we have the orcs. They have put their shields in front and pikes behind, and behind that we have the Uruk-hai ready to leap forward and destroy the enemy when they are getting closer. On to the right hand side, we have Murphys and the new giant spider who will probably take a flanking maneuver over this hill. So let's see how this plays out. I'm really excited to see. There are some pros and cons on both sides, to be sure. We have the defense of Osgiliath and the numbers of Cirith Ungol. Alright, so let's get into priority. Osgiliath gets a 4 and Cirith Ungol gets a 4 as well, which means we have to re-roll this. And a 5 to Osgiliath, so they will go first. So, the first turn of the game went as you might expect. The Osgiliath force just shimmied a little bit forward, adjusting their position, keeping their rangers stationary to fire at full effect. The orc horde moved forward full distance and the spiders went up onto the hill, making sure to be outside of the range of the rangers. Alright, so let's get into shooting for Osgiliath. Alright, going into the shoot phase, we have these 2 rangers on the right hand side. They will fire into the second rank of the orcs because they have a defense of 4, which means they would wound on 5s. Now they stood still, so they need 3s to hit, and they get 2 hits in the way roll for the first rank. And they get through both of them. Now they will need 5s to kill. Can they get it? They get 1 kill, so 1 orc is slain. Next we have Malarsian, and he will fire at the enemy bowman. He will need 3 up to hit, and he hits. Now he will need 5s to kill, and he gets a 2. Dimantir, the newly appointed hero, will fire at the enemy bowman as well, needing a 3 up to hit, and he hits. Now he will need 5s to kill and gets a 1. Priority for the next turn goes to Osgiliath. Alright, so movement is done and the orcs have moved forward at full speed once again, but the archer hung back to be able to fire his bow, and the spiders went further towards the enemy flank. Now let's get into shooting for Osgiliath. Once again, the two rangers will go after their spear supports, and they need 3 up to hit because they stood still, and they hit with both shots. Now they will need a 4 up to get through the shield wall, and they don't. So they will have to try to wound on 6s this time. And they get 1-6, one orc is slain. Battlereport once again will fire at the archer, needing a 3 up to hit, and he hits. Now he will need 5 up to kill, and he gets the 6. The archer is slain. Demontir is next, and he will fire into the spear support over there, as he don't have to roll in the way this time. He will need a 3 up to hit, and he hits, and a 5 up to kill, and he gets the 5. And another one bites the dust. That was weird. Priority once again, and it goes to Osgiliath again. Now the gap is closing in, and the orcs have moved closer to Osgiliath, but Osgiliath did not move at all, trying to shoot out as many orcs as they can on their way forward. The spiders went so that they are out of the charge distance of Osgiliath, but they are within their own charge distance to be able to charge later. Alright, so let's get into the shooting phase of Osgiliath. Now, these two rangers will switch targets and try to kill the spiders coming from this side. They will target Murphus, as he is the most dangerous one, needing a 3 up to hit, and they get 1 hit. In the way roll for the first spider, and it goes through, hitting Murphus. Now they will need a 5 to wound, and they get a 3. Battlereport is next, and he will fire into the spear support over here, needing a 3 up to hit, and he hits. Now he will need a 5 to, or a 4 up to get through the in the way roll, and he does that. Now he will need a 5 to kill, and he gets the 5. Incredible. Demontir is next, and he will fire at the last spear support. Now he has 2 in the way rolls, but first he will need to hit, and he does. 4 up to go through the first one, and he does that as well. And the next one, no, he hits the shield in front. Now he needs 6s, and he gets the 6. Incredible shooting from Osgiliath. Now the orc ranks have been thinned quite a bit, but their hardest hitters remain. Now let's get into priority for the next turn, and it goes to Cirith Ungol this time. Alright, so finally the orcs went into close combat with Osgiliath, and in turn the Osgiliath archers went down from their plateau to be able to support in close combat in next turn. Now we have these 2 Uruks who will try to flank around and get into the rear of the Osgiliath force, so we will just have to see how the fights turn out, and Cirith Ungol has priority, so they can choose their fights first. Starting with this fight over here, we have 2 orcs against a veteran, and he is trapped because his friend is in combat. So he will have to shield, I guess, to try to stop the enemy from killing him. And he gets a 6, and that is really strong because he has a +1 fight value when he's within 6 inches of Michaelir, which he is because Michaelir is over here. So they win the fight. Next we have an orc against a veteran with spear, and I believe he also has a shield. I have to check that later. But anyways, the orc gets a 6 and the veteran gets a 2. Now this veteran did have a shield, I just haven't mounted in on his model because I don't have any extra shields. But either way, the orc will strike and he needs 6s. And can he do it? No. Next we have this fight over here, as he is also trapped. Now Murphus and Krishla are fighting, and Murphus will set the bar. He gets a 5. Warrior of Minas Tirith will be shielding in this situation, and he gets double 5s. Now Krishla is next, and he gets a 4. Now, Krishla has the higher fight value, so the evil side will win this fight, doubling their strikes. Krishla will go first, and he has a strength of 4, so he will need 6s because of the shield wall rule. and he rolls 2 attacks, getting a 5. Next we have Murphys. He also doubles their attacks. Remember, this model is also prone because of his charge, and he gets the 6, slaying the warrior. Next we have a giant spider against Hobtor and Tylero. Now the giant spider will set the bar. He will need a high number, and that is probably not good enough. Tylero gets a 3 and Hobtor gets a 3 as well, but they win on fight value. They will need force to slay the giant spider, and Tylero goes first, getting a 4, causing a wound, and Hobtor is next, getting a 2, and that is not good enough. Next we have Joshok against Doritor, and Doritor sets the bar, getting a 6, and Joshok gets a 3. Doritor will need 5s to wound, and he gets the 5. Can Joshok save himself? No, he cannot. But he has 2 wounds, so 1 wound remaining. Next we have Jonner against Michael Lear and a spear support. Now, we start with Jonner, and he gets a 6. That is really strong. Michael Lear gets a 4, and his spear support gets a 5. Michael Lear could use a point of might to tie the fight, but Joshok has the higher fight value, so he will not do that. Did I say Joshok? I meant Jonner. And Jonner will make strikes. He will need 6s to wound, and he gets a 3. Next we have an Uruk-hai with 2-handed weapon against a warrior of Minas Tirith, and the warrior of Minas Tirith gets a 5, and the 2-handed weapon gets a 2. 5s to kill? No! Priority for the next turn goes to Osgiliath. Alright, so as it stands right now, the orcs are 11 models strong and Osgiliath are 12. And there are lots of interesting fights, and I think Osgiliath has the better of it, but we have some others, like Tylero is fighting the spider and an Uruk-hai, and that may be tough for him. Hobtor as well is fighting 2 models, so let's see how this turns out in the fight phase. There are no trapped models, so we'll just do them in order. Starting with this giant spider and Uruk-hai against Tylero. Tylero will be shielding, and he gets double 1s! Oh no! And the giant spider gets a 4, which means they win. The giant spider will need 5s to wound Tylero, and not good enough. The Uruk-hai will need, I believe, 4s because of his 2-handed weapon, and he gets a 4. So Tylero takes a wound, but he has fates, so he will use that. He actually has 2 fates, so he will start, and no, that's not good enough. His second fate, can he save himself? No! Incredible! That is not good for Tylero, and he's slain. Next we have Hobtor against Murphys and Uruk-hai with a 2-handed weapon, and Murphys will set the bar. He gets a 2, that is not good, and Uruk-hai gets a 1. I failed to mention that Hobtor was shielding, but in any way he wins the fights, no strikes are made. Next we have Doritor against Krishla, and Doritor's job in this situation is not to die, so he will be shielding as well. He gets a 6, and that is incredibly good, but Krishla has a higher fight. Can he get the 6? He gets the 4. It's not worth it to use 2 might, I believe, because Doritor has fate remaining. So let's go to the next fight. We have a 2 against... Oh, I forgot to move this one. A 2 against 2 over here, with Joshok and Jonner against Michael Lear and a spear support. Michael Lear will start, and he gets a 5, and the spear support gets a 4. Joshok is next, and he gets a 3, and Jonner gets a 6. Joshok and Jonner will need 5s to wound Michael Lear because he does not have the shield wall. Remember, the veteran does not have the rule, so he cannot claim it. Now, Joshok will start, needing 5s, nothing, and Jonner gets a 6. Fate roll for Michael Lear, and he gets a 3. He will use a might point, turning that into a 4, saving himself. Next, we have an Uruk-hai against a Minas Tirith warrior and a ranger, and the Uruk-hai will strike normally, setting the bar. He gets a 3, and the ranger gets a 6, which means he loses the fights. The orc, that is. Needing 5s to kill the orc, the ranger gets a 2, and the warrior gets a 2 as well. Another 2-on-1 fight, and the orc will be shielding. He gets a 5 hide. The Malarsian has 2 attacks. He gets a 5 as well and wins on fight value. Malarsian goes first, needing 5s to slay the orc, and gets the 6. The orc is slain. Next we have a 1-on-1 with Dimantir and an orc with spear. Now the orc gets a 6 and Dimantir gets a 4. The orc will need 5s to wound and they get a 4. Lastly, we have this orc over here who will be shielding, and he gets a 6, and the ranger gets a 6 as well, which means they win on fight value. They need 5s to kill the orc. The ranger will start getting a 4 and the veteran gets a 3. Priority for the next turn goes to... oh, it's a tie, which means it goes to Cirith Ungol. Alright, this is a cluster, and it's really difficult to move the models in the correct way to, maximize for both teams, but I think I have done it this time. And yeah, so Cirith Ungol has priority and they can choose which fights goes first, so they will start with the models that are trapped. And in this scenario, the first one is Doritor. He is trapped against Joshok and a friend. So he will be shielding this time, and he gets a 6, and that is really strong. Now Joshok is next, and he gets a 4, and the one with the 2-handed weapon cannot beat it, so they lose the fight. Next we have Krishla and Murphus against Hobtor. And Murphus has the extra attack because of his charge. He got that last time, so he gets 3 attacks and he gets a 5. Now we have Krishla, he is next, he gets a 5 as well, and the warrior who would be shielding, of course, needs a high number and gets the 6. That is incredible. But Krishla will use a might point here to get this into a 6 and wins on fight value, because he is knocked prone from the charge of Murphus, and now they can double their strikes. Krishla will strike first because he wants to secure a kill. Now he needs 5s to wound, and he gets 1 3 and 1 5. He has 1 additional point of might, so he will spend that to get a 5, causing a wound. Now Hobtor has a point of fate as he is a hero, and he saves. But Murphus will also strike, needing 5s. He has now 6 attacks because of the prone model, and slays Hobtor outright. Next we have Malarsian and a friend against an Uruk-hai with 2-handed weapon who will strike normally, and he gets... whoa, that one is cocked. Let's roll again. He gets a 1, and that means that the good side win. Malarsian needs 5s and he slays him. Next we have Michael and 2 friends against Jonner, and Jonner is trapped and nothing he can do about that. Jonner will set the bar, he gets a 6, whoa, that is really strong. Michael gets a 2, the veteran gets a 5, and the last warrior gets a 4. Jonner will strike at Michael needing 5s to wound, getting a 3. Next we have a giant spider against a veteran, and the spider gets a 6, and the veteran gets a 6 as well and wins on fight value. Now he can make strikes and he needs 4s to wound, getting the 6. And that is the last wound for the spider, so he's slain. Next we have a ranger against an orc, and the orc sets the bar, getting a 2, the ranger gets a 3. Needing 5s to wound, getting a 2. Orc against the ranger, and the orc sets the bar, getting a 1, the ranger gets a 5. Needing 5s to kill, getting a 4. And that was Dimantir, by the way, and he has no mites. Ranger against an Uruk with 2-handed weapon who will strike with his 2-handed weapon, and he sets the bar, getting a 4, which is turned to a 3, and the ranger gets a 3, and that is a tie, because both of them has a fight of 4. 4 to 6 goes to good, and it does. 5s to kill, getting the 5, slaying the orc. Alright, so priority for the next turn goes to Cirith Ungol, and that is bad because they are halved and will have to start taking courage checks. Starting with Krishla, and he has a courage of 3, and he gets a 9, which means that he stands fast. And that is also true for all of his warriors, but the other heroes will have to test as well. Joshok is next, and remember, he gets a +1 courage value because of the +1 courage within 6 inches of Krishla. So he has a courage of 4, needing a 6, and he flees. He cannot even use will, but does he have might? He does have might, so he will use his will points and might points to pass. Next we have Jonner, and he needs a 6 as well. Oh no, that is devastating. And he has also 1 will and 1 might, so he will use both of them. Lastly, we have Murphys, who has a courage of 2 +1 for Krishla, and he gets a 3. Oh no, he flees the battlefield. Alright, so Krishla will have to do something incredible here to not die and not lose this battle. He is unfortunately trapped, but as they have priority, they can maybe do something about it or maybe not. Let's do the fights, starting with this one over here. The Orc sets the bar, getting a 2, and the Ranger gets a 3. The Ranger will need 5s to kill and gets the 6. The Orc is slain. An Orc against Demontir, and Demontir sets the bar, getting a 3, the Orc gets a 5. Needing 5s to kill, Demontir getting a 3. Joshok against a Warrior of Minas Tirith, and the good side gets a 3, the evil side gets a 6. Joshok needs 5s to kill and gets a 3. Jonner against a veteran and Michael Lear, and Jonner sets the bar, getting a 1. Terrible! Michael Lear gets a 3, winning the fight. Michael Lear will need 5s to wound, and he gets the 5. Jonner can use fates, and he fails and he has no might, so he's slain. 1 kill for Michael Lear. 2 veterans against 1 Uruk-hai, and the Uruk-hai will strike normally, and he sets the bar at a 3. And the 2 other warriors gets a 2 and a 6. They need 5s to kill the Uruk-hai and gets 1 5. He is slain. Now for the most interesting fight this round. Let's see what Krishla can get. He will set the bar, getting a 3. Oh, that's probably not good enough. Michael Lear is next and he gets a 5. Krishla is trapped and Doritor will strike first, needing 5s to kill, getting 2 6s. And Krishla has only 1 fate and 1 wound, so he is slain by Doritor. And that means that Osgiliath is victorious. They slayed, or Michael Lear slayed 1, Krishla slayed 0. So they win this round. Now let's get into the post-battle. Alright, so before we get into the injury rolls, just a quick reminder: if you see that I do something wrong in regards to the rules, and if you think that I can do better tactically, please let me know in the comments below. I will really appreciate it because it makes me a better player and the content will be better for you guys. Okay, so let's get into the injury rolls for the last alliance first. Starting with the warriors from the left. Let's see what he gets. He gets a 5, which means he misses the next battle. And we have the next one. He gets a 10, which is a full recovery. Now the next warrior gets 7, full recovery. And the next one gets an 11, full recovery. And next one gets a 3, which means he is killed, unfortunately. That's the first death so far. Okay, let's go to Carson. And he gets a 7, and that is a full recovery. Next we have Karna, and starting from the left we get a 7, and that is a full recovery. And the next warrior gets a 9, full recovery. Next warrior 5 has to miss the next game, and the next one a 9, full recovery. On to the heroes, starting with Sturtlim. He gets a 6, and that is a full recovery. Jacobim is next. He gets a 5, and that I believe is a leg wound. Moving over to Osgiliath, starting with the warrior on the right, he gets a 7, and that is a full recovery. Next we have Tylero, he gets a 7 as well, full recovery. And Hobtor is the last one, he gets an 8, and that is a full recovery. Lastly, we have Cirith Ungol, and they have suffered a lot of casualties. So let's start from the right with the warriors, and he gets a 5, which means he has to miss the next battle. Next we have the spider, 10, full recovery. The warrior with bow gets an 8, full recovery. The next warrior gets a 6, full recovery. And the next warrior gets 4, has to miss the next game. And the one with two-handed weapon over here gets a 6, full recovery. Next, the warrior with shield gets a full recovery as well. And the last Uruk-hai gets a 6, full recovery. Next we have Karishla, and he gets an 11, and that means that they get D6 extra influence points. Let's see what they get. They get 3 additional influence points and a full recovery for Karishla. Lastly, we have Jonar, and he gets an 8, and that is a full recovery. And that means that he cures his leg wound, which I forgot about the whole battle. Well. Next we have advancements and recruitments, and starting with Simonid, he was the only one from the last alliance who got enough experience. He is on the path of the ranger, and he will get a 7, and that is shoot. The hero may increase the shoot value, already has a 3+ shoot, so he will roll again, getting an 11, and that is secure heroic accuracy. I believe he already has that one. Yes, he does. So he can roll again and gets a 9 this time. Defense, alright, so may only be increased once, but he gets +1 defense, and that is really nice. On to reinforcements now. They have 5 influence points. And they get +1 on this roll because of their rallying horn. So they get a 1, and that is a warrior of Numenor with shield. Alright, so we'll have to paint up 1 more of those, but that is nice. Alright, so we have some advancements on the Karna warband. Let's start with the 2 warriors with spear. The one on the right, he gets a 6 and becomes a hero. Great. And the next one gets a 6 as well. Another hero is made. And Jacobim, he will choose the path of the ranger, being an archer after all. And he gets an 11, and that is heroic accuracy. That is great for him. Next we have Jacksonell, and he will continue on the path of the ranger. He gets a 9, and that is defense, and that is nice for him. Lastly, we have Stuartlim on the path of the general, and he gets a 5, and that is rally to me. And I don't think he has that one. Nope, so he will get that. As for reinforcements, they also have 5 influence points, getting a +1 on this roll. They get a 2, and that is a Haradrim warrior with spear. Alright, so advancements for the Osgiliath warband. We have a ranger who got enough experience. He would roll on a 6, he becomes a hero, and he does. Amazing! That is really nice. Once again, Malarzian has not enough experience and will roll on the ranger once again, getting a 6, and that is steady aim. He already has that one, so he will roll again, getting a 4, and that is expert shot. And that means that he can shoot twice in the shoot phase rather than once. Next we have Tylero on the path of the warrior, and he gets an 8. And that is strength or defense. Can only be improved once. I think you got strength last time, so this time you will get defense. On to recruitments, and Osgiliath has 4 influence points. Let's see what they get. They get a 4, and that is turned to a 5. But if they spend 1 more point, they can roll on the special chart, so they will do that. And the special chart will give them a 4, which is turned to a 5, and that is a Knight of Minas Tirith with shield. That is amazing. Alright, on to Cirith Ungol, and Murphus and a warrior with spear got enough experience. Let's start with the spearman. He gets a 5, and that is nothing, I believe. Murphys continues on the path of the beasts and gets a 9, and that is bestial charge. He already has that one. Rolling again, getting a 12, Master of Terrain. As we discussed earlier, he will not get that one either. Getting a 4, and that is Courage. Well, that is nice for him as he fled the battlefield this time. On to reinforcements for Cirith Ungol. They have 6 influence points. Let's see what they get. They get a 3, which is turned to a 4, and that is a Mordor Uruk-hai with choice of weaponry. But they will use 2 influence points to get another giant spider. They probably need it because they are below on points, but a giant spider is welcome to their ranks. So now they have 3 giant spiders, and that is great. Alright, so this is it for now. Thank you so much for watching and look forward to next week's episode. And yeah, thank you so much for supporting me. I really appreciate it. See you next time.